Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Rabbi Cass from thesofercenter.com. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel so I make future videos with tips about your tefillin. You'll get notified. So today's tip I want to talk about is ripping Retzuahs. So somebody brought me a pair of tefillin today and said that while he was wearing the tefillin yesterday, his Retzuah Shalrosh, it ripped. So here you can see the Shalrosh, and you can see where it's torn. Now there's two concerns with ripping Retzuahs. The first is, well, if it tears, you can no longer wear the tefillin. But before the Retzuah rips to a point where it totally breaks, there's other concerns that have to be talked about before it gets to the point where it's no longer wearable. So if you'll look at other spots on this Retzuah, you'll see that it's starting to tear in several other spots as well. So now, it hasn't torn in the other spots completely through yet, but technically speaking, the way it is right now, it's already a problem because the Retzuah has a minimum shear, which is 9 millimeters. This has to be 9 millimeters wide, minimum, in order to put on the tefillin with a bracha. Ideally, it should be, according to some opinions, 10, and according to some opinions, 11 millimeters wide. Now, if you're gonna measure the spot of the Retzuah, which is not yet torn, from here to here, that's going to be considerably less than 9 millimeters. So this Retzuah, the way it is right now, it can only be worn in an instance where you have no other tefillin to wear, and this would be what we would call better than nothing. So ripped Retzuahs is a problem way before it actually tears and rips completely through and through. When the Retzuah starts to tear like this, it doesn't take much to rip through and through. So as soon as you start seeing tears at the edge of the Retzuah, right away go to a sofer and have new Retzuahs put on the tefillin. And if you don't have a local sofer living nearby, you can order the Retzuahs from my website, and I'll be more than happy to ship the Retzuahs to wherever you're located. And of course, you can check out my other videos where I teach and give instructions on how to tie the Retzuahs yourself. So once the Retzuahs arrive, all you have to do is watch the videos which I previously made, and you'll be able to put the Retzuahs on the tefillin yourself. Oh, now one other thing I wanted to show you was the Retzuah, even the parts of the Retzuah before it starts to actually tear, it first develops a crack. And I want to show you in this Retzuah because I was looking at it, and there are other spots in this Retzuah Okay, so I want to show you this for example. So here you can see there's a crack right there in the Retzuah. Now it's not yet torn, but it is a crack, and when it bends even a little bit, you see that the white underneath the Retzuah is already exposed. Now, technically speaking, even though it's not torn, that is already a concern that has to be addressed, because once the paint starts to crack, now the Retzuah has to be black. When I said that the Retzuah has to be 9 millimeters, at least 9 millimeters wide, preferably 10 and 11, it needs to be black Retzuah, painted Retzuah. And once you start having these cracks over here, they start to interrupt and interfere with the blackness of the Retzuah of the tefillin strap. So there's a couple things that you could do for this when you start to see little cracks starting to develop that don't go through and through, but just go on just on the surface of the tefillin. One of the two things you can do is to use either a marker or the bottle to touch it up. These are called what I call temporary solutions. And the reason why I call them temporary solutions is because once it starts to crack, the Retzuah is already at a point where it's aged and it's worn. And even if you paint this crack today, a couple of months down the road, the crack will continue to develop, and you'll be back where you were, and you may not even notice. And then you'll be wearing the Retzuahs, the tefillin, while they're problematic. So in many cases, once you start seeing cracks developing on the Retzuahs, I recommend replacing them and just changing them out. But again, if you are in shul or in a pinch and you're not in a place where you could replace them at the moment, then these are good options. And I'll put a link for these in the description of the video for my website, so if you need any one of these products, you can find them as well. And if you want to learn about painting the Retzuahs, you should check out my other video, which is right here on the screen. I'll see you on the next video.